Hi, so this will be the third video about my experience with the hospital, and I will call it After Effects because I will talk about what happened after. So if you didn't listen for my first two video, Intro to the Hospital and Escape from the Hospital, I would suggest to listen to it so you get the whole pictures. But after the hospital, yeah, it was a period of 5, 6 weeks, maybe more, maybe less. Really bad period also of my life. So those moods, switching moods, ups and down, extremely through the day, they were gone, almost gone. But why were they gone in that form? I had them was because of the fear and the panic attacks, because of all the stupid things I did by ending up in the hospital, drinking before that, and so for me it was a so horrifying experience. At least in my brain it was set up as a horrifying experience that I was afraid so much that the first days when I came home, I slept with my clothes on and I had my tennis shoes close to my bed, because I was thinking if they come for me again, if I need to go back. But watch out now, there was no possibility that they come for me because they signed me out. This time I went normally out from the hospital, but I was afraid. In my brain was a picture, if they come for me, I need to escape. So I was sleeping with my clothes on, I don't know, for a week, 10 days or something like that. Okay, after a week, 10 days, that was calmed down, that fear. But again, when I came home from the hospital with that fear, it came some stupid fear that I will go deaf and blind. And those were horrible panic attacks, and it was horrible because it was just spinning in my head, those thoughts, and I was so afraid of it. For example, I was talking with the people in my house. So people came to visit me and we were talking. I had so much panic attack about that I'm going to be deaf and blind that I went from the table, I went outside, I look at the sky, I listen to the birds, I listen to everything just to see if I hear okay, if I see okay, if the vision is still good and everything. And yeah, now I can laugh a little bit about it, but when I remember how did I feel at that time, it is a horrible experience of life, and it's hard to help yourself at that moment. I couldn't help myself at that moment. That lasted for some period of times. Also, I had the fear to go outside. I've had a fear to be alone outside, that something will happen to me. So before the hospital, I was thinking, oh, why should I live? What's the point of life? Blah blah blah. And now, after the hospital, I'm afraid for my life that I will die. For example, one example of that fear. One time, I couldn't be alone with the home. My father was working, my mother was working. I called my mother when she had a break if we can have a coffee in the city or something. So I managed the courage to go there. But when I was walking in the city with my mother, I was looking at the rooftops. Why was I looking at the rooftops? Because I had the fear that something will fall on my head and that I will die. And those fears, now when you listen to them, they are stupid. They are really stupid. I mean, it could happen, but what are the chances? But they are stupid fears, for example. Now when I look at it, but when you are living them, they are not so stupid. It's horrible experience of life, and that lasted for some period of time, and that fear to going outside also. And I decided one day. So first I will tell how I started to go outside. So one day I just cracked. I said, F it. What happens, happens. I left my mobile phone home. I left my documents home, sit on my bicycle, and just drove crazy into the city and just driving the bike. And what happens, happens. And of course, I came back that day home. And at that point, when I said what happens, happens, that fear was under control. It was not a problem for me to go outside, but it was still a problem for me to be alone, because all of that bad thoughts, especially that thoughts of deaf and blind, and so So I was lucky at some point because there was a place where you can buy cigarettes, soda, or something like that, where all of my friends and people I know they gather up there, and it was summer, not summer, it was spring, I think May to June or something like that. And they were sitting outside there who wasn't working or stopping by, so I hang out there at that place almost all days. How long did they work? I was down there just not to be home alone, and that's how how I survived at that moment. But because of all of that fears and afraid of being alone and could not, yeah, go to sleep because of the thoughts and everything. Practically at that point in my 20s, I think I learned how to meditate because I was training myself. I didn't know what was I doing. When I was in my bed, I was putting focus to nothing. So just I was training myself just not to think. So when those bad thoughts come, I was training myself just to let them go, just to be in nothing because of the fear of the thoughts. So I had the fears of my thoughts because when I had that thoughts, I was feeling so bad that I had fear of the thoughts. So not just the thought, fear that I'm going to think something like that. And practically I learned myself how to meditate. I didn't continue that, but it helped me through life because I learned how to, let's say, at that point, not totally, but how to ignore thoughts, because thoughts were bothering me so much that I learned how to ignore them, so my life will be easier. And after going through all that and hanging out at that place, I was lucky because I met a friend, and he said in the company he was working and they need some people. I went there, I talked, and I found a job. And somehow, I don't know how, because I was training myself not to think, and I did that whenever I go outside. I started working, and that actually helped. Why that helped is because actually focus was going on a different place. I was learning new things. I was doing something with paperwork, and so I was learning new things, and you are focused on that. So, what, 8, 9 hours a day, you are focused on something, and you don't have the time to have those stupid thoughts in your head. And so, and I didn't drink after the hospital. That's the second thing that helped me out. And actually, for a year and a half, it was good. I was working. I didn't have so much FOMO. I had still fear because I remember when I went with the company retreat to some place, I was also afraid to be alone, that something will happen to me or so, but it was not so intensive as at the first few weeks after the hospital. It was easier. And with the time, after, I don't know, 5, 6, 8, 10 months, it became easier and easier and easier, and it was good after that period of time, after 10 months, a year or something. But the stupidest thing was, that will be another story, was after a year and a half having a normal life, let's say normal, I had problems, but they were under control by myself. I started drinking again, and when I started drinking again, I destroyed that job. I quit that job. I started doing stupid things, and so it was a vicious circle of that. Let's say, I cannot say a vicious circle of alcohol, but yeah, about drinking alcohol, because I learned how to drink alcohol at 13, 14 years of age, 13 years of age, or something like that, and everybody was. But alcohol made again bigger problems for me, and then, yeah, I will tell it in another story, because what happened after that. So when I quit the job, a year after, or maybe a year and a half after I quit that job, we found out that my mother is dying, and that caused some bigger problems in me. Not in the way like before the hospital, but yeah, well, nah, yeah. Yeah, in the way like it was before the hospital, but on a different way also. And then when I started medications, with medications, but that will be also another story, because my experience with medications are actually also not so good, because I don't know, or those doctors didn't have the time to learn you how to be under control with it or something. But again, a different story. But yeah, this was in short what happened to me after the hospital, and I will be telling my stories just because I think maybe if some people who has problem listen to it and see that there are some other people who had problems and did really stupid things and tell their experience, maybe they can learn from that experience. Because I don't want, I was looking on the internet, there are a lot of people having borderline or so, or some psychological problems, and after sometimes they think they are experts and they want to give advices or something. My advice would be, one advice I would give, it's if you have problems and you don't have nobody to talk to and you cannot focus on helping yourself, because I know I was in that period, and there is a time where no chance you can help yourself. There is no chance, because the head is such a big of mess that you cannot help yourself. Go and search for help. Go into the hospital, go to your doctor, talk to somebody if you are afraid to come with you, or go to psychotherapist or somebody. Just go and talk with some professionals who can help you, because being with that mess in your head, I know how it is. Probably you will do a lot of stupid things that will not end up so good for you. So if you have psychological problems, depression, borderline, bipolar, or whatever, or if you don't know what you have, if you just feel like a mess in the head that's not under control, if you just think that you will do stupid things, or you see you are going on the way to do stupid things, go and search for some help with professionals. They can help you where not a lot of people can help you if they don't know what they are talking about or doing about. I mean, people who are not doctors, and especially not almost nobody from those people can help you if you are big a mess, how I was before the hospital. So go and talk to a doctor and search for professional help. It's not a shame, especially today. Yeah, so that will be this for this video, and